Welcome back. We are 22S Radio, the next wave of K Beach. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ, HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back, everyone, to Tiger and Spencer program. I'm your host, Spencer Klein, and I am back with two wonderful guests of mine, two ex-coworkers. That makes me sad to say that.
Very
like 3 days.
About 3 days so
we
far.
We just broke up 3 days
Yeah,
ago.
we just broke up 3 days ago, Spence.
Natalie and Gassia, how are you?
Good. Feeling really good. Joined here by Gassia, my roommate and best friend. Met her second day here at Long Beach State when I moved here from San Francisco. And she took me under her wing, brought me into her family, and we have been inseparable ever since.
Yes, and I just want to point out it is really awesome that we are the first two women on the talk show. So,
could you guys pull your mics closer to you guys?
Yes.
Better?
Oh, shit.
That's fine.
Awesome.
Cool.
Much better.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So, you guys are the first two women I've gotten on the show so far.
Why is that?
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about it when I was walking up here. So, the nature of the show is that I get content creators, and they usually come to me first.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd you have last, Cab?
The last person I had was this band, Hooray for Our Side. I just uploaded everything today.
Yeah, I saw
okay.
that. It was really recent.
So that was literally like not even a couple of hours ago.
Jeez.
But yeah.
Well, we are not content creators, but we have a lot of opinions, so we're here to share them.
That's why you're here. So I don't know if you guys know what today is.
What is today?
Okay. So
I know it's not your birthday.
it's not my birthday.
I know that.
You guys both know Drake, right?
Yes.
And you know how much I have a distaste for Drake.
Yes.
Okay.
Fully aware of that.
Okay, so
My heart is breaking.
today is the year anniversary of the diss track that Pusha T released revealing that he had a son.
Oh.
And I wanted to know what you guys felt about that whole fiasco, the whole situation.
I mean, I just feel like you can't talk on anybody's family. I don't think that anyone should have the right to expose someone else for their personal business when it comes to family and blood, and especially if it's a child. You're bringing them into a world of hate and fame, and for a child that hasn't been exposed to any of that, to bring them into that immediately as they're born, not cool. However, I love my boy Drake, but I do know that he has done the same thing. Who did he do it with? He did it with Kid Cudi. Yeah, he did it with Kid Cudi. He spoke on his mental illness and created a negative stigma around that, where that was completely unnecessary because there is already a really negative stigma around mental illness, and he only brought that more attention, especially with the power that he has. So I will say that that wasn't cool of Drake. However, just because someone does something bad doesn't mean that you do something bad in return. That doesn't prove a point. It just makes you look just as bad as the other person. Gassia, any thoughts?
No, I agree. I mean, I definitely don't think that's how he wanted to release to the world about something so personal. I think it's definitely not how he probably would have liked. And, you know, when his son grows up, he's going to obviously hear about this story. So obviously that's super personal.
Especially when he's been rapping through all his albums, touching on his dad, touching on how
His family issues.
Yeah, his family issues, how his mother basically raised him on his own. And then also in March 14th when he was rapping about how everything came about his child, and how he's been saying that he doesn't want to be a single father. He doesn't want to be a co-parent. And here he is now. So I think that Pusha T putting that on blast only further highlighted the situation that Drake is in, and it's everything that he didn't expect and didn't want to be in. But I mean, that's life.
Yeah,
right?
I think unfortunately that completely comes with the fame of him like exposing so much of himself out there. Like, it's something like that is bound to happen. If it wasn't about his son, it would have been about something else. It's just how it works.
Right. I mean, you're under a microscope.
Exactly.
Would you guys ever want to be famous?
No. We talk about this all the time. We had this conversation when she was like, would you rather be, what would you say?
She said, would I rather be known as like Kim Kardashian or I think Gandhi?
Yeah. And I said, I would rather be known for winning a Nobel Prize than having falsies and a fat ass. No disrespect to Kim K. I hope she does well. I hope she does well on her bar exam. But
that's an interesting question.
But in general, I wouldn't want to be famous just because I don't want to act a certain way just because I know people are watching me. And I feel like no matter how much you say, like, fuck it, I'm going to be myself regardless of who's around, I think it's a little bit different when you have the whole world watching your every step. And it's really hard to avoid your subconscious when you're going about things or saying what you want to say, wearing what you want to wear. In the back of your head will always be society and the norms that they set and the expectations that are set for you. And I think that's really hard to turn off when you're famous, which is why someone from STEM, I would rather be famous for a Nobel Prize than be Kim K.
Yeah, but I think you can be famous and it's not necessarily like somebody like Kylie Jenner or Kim Kardashian. That I feel like when we talk about fame, like we talk about celebrities or actresses or even athletes, but I don't think that necessarily has to do those aren't the only famous people. You know, there's a lot of people that are slept on and we don't know about. But I do think one great aspect about fame is that like things like donating to charities and like getting your voice out there. Obviously, if those famous people weren't around, a lot of things wouldn't happen that they changed about the world. So I think it has its ups and its downs, but
right.
I personally think I wouldn't mind being famous, not even because of like yeah, part of it is like fame, like that's really cool, but I think there's a lot you could do with your voice, and there's a lot you could change if you were well known in the world.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I was thinking about specifically about that question, but not in regards to Drake or anyone else he brought up so far, but in respect to Cardi B. Okay. I for some reason I feel like there's something she's hiding, which is why she has this, this personality that she puts out for the rest of the world to see. Because if you watch interviews of her in more like, calm down, intimate settings, it's not like Love and Hip Hop or the Grammy Awards or something like that. She's more of a human than what people make her out to be.
Right.
She has more complex emotions than what people make her out to be, but yet they want to simplify her to something as small as what we see today.
Yeah.
Only to get that revenue, because that's what's applicable to the audience right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know much about Cardi B, and I don't follow her music religiously, but I'm sure through her upbringing, I know she had a very, very tough upbringing, career-wise, money-wise, but I do think personality-wise, she's still the same personality, just because I did watch her Instagram videos prior to her blow, and she still has the same sense of humor, the same funny, crazy personality. But obviously, once once the a hoe never gets cold got super famous, then she had to keep that up and keep that energy going, and that's what people got attracted to. So
that's what they pay money for.
She had to keep that going. That comes with being an artist, is you're going to sell yourself as a certain type of person. I think it may not be fully who she is. Obviously, she has different parts about her that we will never know about, but at the end of the day, that is her career. That's her job.
Yeah.
I think, and I think that relates to everybody, is that everyone has a persona, everyone has a theme, everyone has a way that they carry themselves. But there's always more than meets the eye, and that applies to everyone. It's just that that's super picked on when you are famous and you are making money based off your personality, basically. I personally don't like Cardi B's music, not because I have anything against her. It's just not my taste of rap. But I do have respect for her, that from where she started at, that now she's like the best rapper and won that Grammy. But I think I just don't know how I feel when I hear like 8-year-olds singing her songs in the car. Do you know what I mean? Like I saw that on Instagram.
What do you see the issue with that? Just curious.
I just don't know. I mean, first of all, the 8-year-olds shouldn't be listening to the radio stations that her songs are being played at or played on, just because I feel like they perceive a different message and a different way to act than is like appropriate for their age. Or, like, they don't understand what they're saying. Like, they're just singing along. You know what I mean? But I think that it's important to know her growth as an individual, regardless of whether or not you like her music. But you're not really a fan of Cardi B, right?
No, I
like she's chilling in a club,
yeah,
and when I'm
exactly.
like drinking at Sharky's, you know, like that's fun. But like, do I sit there and really think about her music, and do her like lyrics make me feel a type of way, like Mac Miller, for example? No. But is she someone that I would pregame to and have a good time, and that I still respect? Yeah. But I also think that's why there's certain artists that you relate to more rather than others. Like, there's a different time for a different album, you know?
Yeah, and on that note, I was actually just thought of some lyrics that kind of matches the tone of the subject we're talking into. So Tyler, the Creator, just dropped a new album. But I was just listening to his past records, and one of my favorite songs by him, probably ever, is the song Alone, which is the very last song on the album Wolf. And he says, he's talking about his life and everything that brought him up to that point in his life, and he states, I want to stop, but I can't because mother and sister can't pay the rent. So basically he has this entire personality of how the world wants to view him, and he says he just wants to quit. But he can't do that because everyone expects him to act a certain way in order to be either a role model or B, financial support.
Right. I mean, when you step into that role where you're supporting your family, it's really hard to step away from it, regardless if you're famous or not. If you are the person that puts the food on the table, you kind of put yourself on the back burner and your needs and wants, because at the end of the day, that woman made you from scratch. So if you rapping means putting food on your mom's plate at night, you're going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I wouldn't, like, I think I would do the same thing if it meant keeping my, like, family financially stable.
I feel like a lot of people would do a lot of things that they don't think they would ever do or say out loud in order to support their family.
Yeah, and that's a very humbling thing for them to do. But not just, well, is it humbling to do something you're supposed to do? You
know what? A lot of people wouldn't do it.
That's true.
A lot of people wouldn't do it. You'd be surprised. The only reason that we think that is because we're all on the same page with that. I feel that there are people who are more, it doesn't even have to come with like who's independent or who's dependent. It's really just thinking about the big picture and realizing that at the end of the day, it's really just your family that you have. So, of course, you have to prioritize your personal growth and your preferences and who you want to be as a person. Like, I would never, for example, this is super random, I would never be a lawyer just because my mom or dad wanted me to. But I can promise them that I'll work hard enough in whatever I choose to do in order to help them out when they retire. You know what I mean? So I think that you can still carry on your own life the way you want to, but I think I would never do so at the expense of taking care of my parents when they took care of me. And the only reason why I'm out here exploring my options and trying new things is because I have my parents' support and the upbringing that they brought me through life with, in order to have that creativity and that curiosity and that stability in order to explore.
Would you say that you share, or attributes do you share from your parents that you think that you have today?
Yeah, I mean, when my mom came to the United States,
Wait, before you get into that, could you tell us where she's from?
Yeah, so my parents are both from Belarus, which is the country right under Russia. It was when the Soviet Union split up, and Belarus is the more countryside of Russia, and then they moved here in 1991, and my sister was also born there, and then she moved here, so I'm first generation. And when my mom came here, she dead ass drew up a fake nursing license so that she could support the family, and then took herself to City College. So did my dad, to learn English. They both had degrees in Russia. They could have done a lot, but they decided to move here because it would just be better for my sister and I. It was right after the Chernobyl explosion, so the environment was really unsafe, especially for like 2 developing children. And they knew they wanted to have me eventually, and they wanted me to grow up in the United States. And my dad's sister was here. But back to your question in terms of attributes, I would like to say that I am always looking for the better option or the opportunity for growth. I hate staying stagnant and staying in one place for too long. I get bored really easily. Gassia knows this. I like to look for like leadership opportunities, because if I'm going to do something, I'd rather take advantage of it to the fullest extent so I could say that I use my time the most efficiently. And I definitely got that from my parents, because they're always hustling. They're always trying to figure out the next step, and if there is a possible next step in what they're currently doing, and if there isn't, they move on. And my sister has that too, for sure.
Similar to Nat, so I think like that was like the biggest thing of why we're best friends, is because my parents are also they were born and raised in Syria. So when Nat and I first met, it was like a really big deal that both of our parents are foreigners, because you know you can relate on a lot of levels, just like culturally. So my parents came here when they were like younger, like around 20 years old, and they both started businesses, and you know that they had to work like from the bottom up, like many like foreign families can definitely relate to. So I think, and it definitely was not easy for my mother to come here. So I think just like a similar attribute that I would have would definitely be like would be the hard work. I mean, it takes a lot coming here and literally not knowing anybody or not speaking the language, first of all, because you can get played so easily and taken advantage of. And you know, like technology wasn't the same back then, like you know, times were really different 30 years ago. So
yeah, you can't just Google Translate how to say something in a supermarket.
You can't Google Translate. You can't maps.
Point at shit and figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. So I think on that end, like the dedication that they had and the hard work they have. I mean, I say this all the time. Like, of course, I'm moving forward in my career for myself, but I really, really deep down do think that more than myself, I am doing it for my parents.
I think you are too. Like, just based on knowing you for the last 4 years, I feel like a lot of the decisions that you make are based on the best interest of your family.
Yeah. Because
the best interest of your family will somehow translate to your best interest, because you prioritize your family over yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that your mom does that too. So I think that's where you get it from.
I think so too. I mean, a lot of the decisions I make, they may not be what I like most want to do, but I know that if it makes my mom happy, it truly does make me happy. And like I don't even like really question it at that point.
Yeah, I think that's a trait a lot of kids share about their parents, is that as they get older, when you're a kid, you don't really think about this as much, but as you get older, you think, these people are really provided a lot for me.
Yeah, and as you get older.
And
I need to do anything I can to pay them back.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think I'm not saying that like people's parents who aren't foreign like don't understand this, but like there's definitely a certain struggle that people like if your parent like didn't come to this country not knowing anything, and like I think you just understand life in a different manner than, you know, parents who were raised here. Like growing up, my parents never helped me with my homework. I didn't get that help. Like, let me look over your essay. Like, let me correct your homework. My parents never did my homework with me because
they were at work.
Yeah, they were either at work, and those weren't really things like that they knew how to do, because that's not like what they're accustomed to. That wasn't what their schooling was like. So, so that was just really, I think, I think a lot of people who do have parents that come from other countries here, it's just like a different understanding that you have, and you just have a different type of respect for your family. Like the fact that you packed your bags and you came here with nothing, I don't think I could say that I could do the same thing.
Are you guys the first in your family to have bachelor's degrees?
I am.
I am not. No.
Okay.
But yeah, my parents literally moved here with like $330 and ate KFC every single day for a long time. And they actually waited to have me once they came here. They waited another 6 years because they wanted to make sure that they had some kind of stability before they had me. And I know that took a lot for my mom because I know she wanted to have kids, but she knew it was better to wait. So I don't know. I just have mad respect. Like, it really just takes a lot to, especially my mom. She left her whole family. Like, she packed her bags, came here, and just worked. And yeah, like, same thing as Goss said. Like, my parents never signed my permission slips. They never went to PTA meetings. Yeah. My mom has never been to any of my track meets. Like, but it's not because they didn't give a shit. It's just because they were at work trying to feed me when I came home from practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they did everything that they could in other ways to support us. And I think that when your parents are immigrants, their support and care for you translates in terms of finance. So like, okay, like I'm not here to go to your friend's birthday party and make fucking cookies, but I'm here working so that you have a savings that when you do decide to go to get your bachelor's. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's when I see a lot of my parents' support, that they symbolize it with like financial assistance, because they've been saving for so long in order for my sister and I to grow and whatnot. I feel like you could say the same.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same.
All right. Well, that's fair. That's a really nice story for both of you guys.
Yeah.
But right now, we got to go do a quick break, and then we'll be back after a word from our sponsor. We are 22 West Radio, the next wave of K-Beach. 22 West Radio is 22westmedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ, HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. And welcome back to Talking Pizza program, guys. I am back with my two wonderful guests, ex-coworkers of mine, Natalie and Gassia. How are you guys?
Hello.
Doing
We're
really
still
well.
doing really well.
Yeah.
We went from Drake to immigration, so tune in.
Yeah. So, well, you guys just graduated. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, what are you feeling right now in terms of just how you interpret the world around you? Because I have different opinions about almost everything in life now that I finally have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
You guys have any opinions about how just anything at all?
I'm very underwhelmed. I definitely don't have, like, graduation itself was cool because I was with Gassia. But I don't feel like I hit this huge milestone. I feel like my milestones will come later when actual opportunities are taken on. Like, yes, of course, I have my degree, but anyone could get their degree and then sit on the couch for the rest of their life. I think the turning chapter for me is when I take my first step into actually hustling for myself and working in an environment and job where I'm truly passionate about my work and actually making a change beyond this campus. So that's when I will actually feel the impact of graduation. But as of right now, I'm just kind of winging it.
For me personally, I think like the timing after graduation, I almost feel numb. Like,
Yeah, definitely numb.
I don't, like, it's like I almost don't feel anything because there's so many, like, emotions people, like, tell you of, like, what you're gonna feel like. And I think it's, like, I think it depends on the individual. I think if you have, like, something set up for you after you graduate, that's obviously you're going to have, like, kind of a different feeling than if you are still, like, kind of up in the air about what you're doing or what you really want to do. There's still, like, years ahead of that. So I think it just depends, obviously, on the individual. But for me personally, I'm just like, I'm sad because I'm obviously going to separate from my best friends. That's obviously a sad time, and and I say this to everybody around me. It's going to be so difficult, coming home to somebody you can talk to about your day and vent to. Obviously, I can do that to my family, like moving back home, but it's not the same as like a roommate. I think for me personally, graduating, like, I don't even think about it in the like school or work aspect, but more of like the relationships I formed. I'm sad that they're not going to be like the same, and that those relationships are going to shift. It's not necessarily like, I think I'll always figure out schooling. I'll always figure out a job. Like, those things will always happen, like one way or another. If you're dedicated to it, it's going to happen. But I think the people you meet aren't always going to be the same. The relationships you form, those are really unique. So I think about it more in the sense of how my relationships will shift rather than like my career or what my schooling is going to look like.
I agree with that for sure, because what made our college experience was definitely the relationships that we made, whether it be in the dorms or at the rec, or just like through mutual friends for sure. I think that for me, the way I'm going about graduation is I'm actually leaving back to the Bay Area, which is a complete 360 because I thought I was for sure going to stay here, and then my whole opinion changed within a weekend after I went home.
Thanks to me.
Yeah, thanks to you. Do you remember that? I was like, for 2 weeks, I was like, God, should I stay here? Should I move? And then I, again, just winged the decision. Still don't know if it's the right one, but I'll just figure it out. However, I personally find a lot of comfort in the unknown. I have a lot of friends that worry about, like, what's happening next, or who am I going to be where, or when am I going to get married, when am I going to have kids, how am I ever going to move here or do that. But those thoughts genuinely don't really cross my mind just because there's no point in thinking about it. I could literally walk out of this podcast and get hit by a bus. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You never know, so there's no point in wasting time planning. Of course, you should have like a general plan for like certain things, like if you want to join the Peace Corps, like, and you want to do it with the next couple years, like probably you should reach out to a recruiter now, like something like that. But I find a lot of comfort in the unknown, especially because I think it's a really beautiful thing to embrace change in a positive way. I know that when I first came to Long Beach, I was really upset because I left all my best friends. I left my boyfriend at the time. I left everything that was comfortable. And then when I got here, I was really upset because I felt like I was missing out, and my other best friends went to college together, and I was here alone. I was 17. I didn't know anyone. But then I met Goss, and then I met the next person and the next person, and these 4 years have been the best 4 years of my life because it was change and it was a challenge. It was outside of my comfort zone. Everything was new, and then here I am about to do that all over again. But now I know, based off the first time, to not have that initial upset period, but just to think of it as more of an adjustment and just making the best out of it. And it's really all just your attitude. So that's how I'm handling that.
Yeah, that's a good way to see it. If I get to my personal story, when I moved here from wherever I'm from, about 2 years ago, as you guys know, I came here, I knew absolutely nobody.
Yeah.
And
it's cool though.
I kind of liked it though.
I liked
I was
it.
just like, I get to chill by myself, You
get to choose who you are.
Bothered by unnecessary people in my life, and I get to choose who I want to associate myself with. Mm-hmm. And as I got to form relationships with people that were on my watch and on my disposal, those friendships seemed more valuable than the ones I made in high school, for example, when you're forced to be around those people
for
5 days a week for 8 hours a day.
Yeah. And you also know yourself better when you're in college. Like, I can easily say, you can completely speak to this. I'm a completely different person than when I first moved here. And I think for the better. And I do agree with you on that. I literally said when I moved back to the Bay Area, like, I'm not going to hang out with people just because I'm lonely and haven't met new people to hang out with. Like, I'm not going to hang out with people that I used to hang out with, like, 8 years ago that I don't actually give a shit about. I'm just trying to pass time. Like, I'd rather just hang out with my dog. And then I'll meet people along the way that are actually meaningful to me, because definitely as you get older, it's all about quality, not quantity. I don't have any time, so the last thing I would do is waste time investing in people that I don't actually see myself having a relationship with. And I think you can completely agree with that, because we talk about this every night at tea time at the table.
What do you think what was your hardest part about coming here not knowing anybody? Like,
And
what
why
did you,
California?
Yeah, what did you...
My part?
He's from
Yeah.
California.
I'm from California.
He's from, like, an hour or two away.
I thought you were from, like, Louisiana.
No.
Or Georgia? Was it Georgia?
No, I'm
No.
from California.
He's from,
Originally?
like, an hour or two
Yeah,
away.
I was born here.
Where does your dad live?
California.
Where does your mom live?
California.
Shit.
I don't know where you got that from. Okay.
I see where you're talking about
Okay,
this. Because
but
you were
yeah.
thinking about moving home. Because remember when...
In San Bernardino.
No.
We'll talk about this later.
Okay.
'Cause I don't know where... Okay.
Okay.
So, what was the question again?
I was just asking what your hardest part about coming here, like, not knowing anybody at all was.
You want the honest answer?
The honest, completely honest answer.
It was paying rent.
Really?
That was hard.
Yeah.
Because I came here, when I moved to Long Beach, I worked at an Amazon facility.
Okay.
And those things are, like, torturous.
Because
You work, okay, so I started my shift at 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, God.
shit.
And then I ended it at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's not just, like, pussyfooting around a fucking Amazon facility. You're lifting heavy boxes
Yeah.
and putting them on trailers
Yeah.
to go on trucks.
That's terrible.
Yeah. So I'd do that. And
How many days a week?
6 days a week. And I get 1 day off.
And then you would go to school during the day?
Yeah. So I would get off at 7, drive from Irvine, that's what the facility was, Irvine to Cal State Long Beach, have class at 10, have classroom 10 to 6, take a nap from 7 to about 10, and then have it over again.
Yeah.
So that was my schedule for about 2 months.
Wow.
How did
And
you function as an individual?
I
You barely did.
barely did.
Yeah.
Barely did. Somehow I passed my classes.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I just ended up just leaving that job. But I left that job with no means of finding another job. I just left it because I knew I would probably get seriously hurt if I kept working there.
Yeah.
So I left, picked up a job at Sprouts. I hated that place so much.
Why?
It's just,
I don't see you there
Was
at
it just
all.
really pretentious? Yeah.
it's just like people complaining about everything. And plus, they have a really bad, like, moral ethic there. Like, for example, I had a coworker who made himself a sandwich. We're allowed to make ourselves one sandwich a day.
Okay.
Like, for lunch, right? He made
Did you work in the
himself-
deli?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Deli and meat department.
Nice.
He made himself 2 sandwiches. One for him and one for his son. And he got fired.
Wow.
What the fuck?
Yeah, but the fucked up thing about it is that about 2 weeks later, we saw him outside of the exact same Sprouts with a sign
Asking for money.
asking for money.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He got fired for that?
he got fired.
Don't they have, like, HR? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you don't want to trust HR at Sprouts.
Oh my
It's
God.
very like totem pole-esque.
Right.
Yeah, like there's everyone at the ground, like the untouchables, and then there's the higher ups.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
How long did you stay at Sprouts for?
like about a year.
Wow.
Yeah,
Damn.
about a year. I quit like a year ago, like about a week. So
Damn.
yeah. And then the sad thing is, probably the saddest thing about it all is that people from the outside don't know what's going on in the inside.
Right.
Like, would you ever expected that would have happened if I didn't tell you?
No.
No.
Never.
I would
Especially if-
think of something completely different.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like that happens with a lot of people who are homeless.
Yeah.
That there's way, like, everyone assumes, like, oh, you know, whatever, they're a drug addict or they never went to school or whatever. But it's like, no, like, there could be so many reasons, especially in California.
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
rent. Yeah.
And because that brings me back to my next subject. So when I figured it was so hard to pay rent, that's when it clicked in my head, like, I'm one accident away from being on the streets and homeless.
Yeah.
So who am I to judge someone else in the street that is also homeless? Again, I'm just one incident away from being homeless. Who we all are, in a sense, if we're not doing have money in the bank stashed away
Yeah.
for years at a time. Who's to say that one of us can get an accident? God forbid. Or one of our loved ones gets in an accident. Or a breadwinner in our family gets in an accident. That may push us out in the street.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
that experience really taught me how to relate to more people. And I guess along with that, build more relationships with people as well.
Yeah.
Because I was a totally different person now in comparison to about 2 years ago, or even 4 years ago.
You're different from when I first met you.
I'm glad you say that, because I
Yeah.
was a weird person when I first met you. I was really weird.
It's okay. I used to be nicer when you first met
You
me.
used to be nicer?
Yeah, I used to be nicer.
Where were you
Our
like?
patience is really thin
Yeah,
nowadays.
Gassia and I have really thin patience now, but I think it just comes to... I think we have thin patience because we respect each other as individuals. So if you're not with it, then we don't have time for it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying that, like, you can't have different opinions or whatever, but if you don't have a good heart, then I don't really want to talk to you.
Yeah, and I think we've both dealt with so much
Bullshit.
bullshit. Like, so
And
much
bullshit is attracted to me.
Yeah, bullshit loves us.
Yeah,
I don't
bullshit
know-
loves
I
us.
don't
It's
know
like our
why.
third. It's like right here. It's just chilling right here. But going back to what you said, I think I like how you said that you can relate to more people than you think. Just because I do think there's a common ground with everyone, and once you find it, you can start building that relationship without judgment. Like, for example, you and I, like, we were chill, but we didn't really know each other. But then you and I really got tight when we started looking at each other's Spotifys. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
then we
I
like
remember that day.
we had that one shift, and we started talking about music, and I was like, damn. I was like, Spencer's kind of cool. And then ever since then, you and I had a relationship from that one thing, and then we started building it and layering it, and then now we talk about, like, girls and or dudes and where should I live, Spencer, and now we're at this podcast.
Yeah. Why are you looking at me like that?
Oh. It's just funny from when we first started at the front desk.
Yeah. I mean, when I first started, I was super shy, but not because, like, I was shy at the core, but just like being a new and, like, the energy and just the way the culture was set up. But yeah, now it's completely different.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that the past 2 years, or maybe in the past year, definitely showed me how to, like, narrow down who I should and should not have a relationship with.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are people that I'm just like, you next. Like, you're
Yeah,
so,
next.
you're so vapid,
Yeah.
and you don't have really
Yeah.
anything to offer to me.
Exactly.
Whether it be romantic or platonic, it's just...
Yeah. I feel that heavy. And I'm still learning that too. I mean, all of us
Yeah.
are. There's always going to be that one person that you thought you were super tight with, and then you find something out or they do something and you're like, wow, like, I was completely blind to it all. Like, with, like, again, whether it be romantic or platonic, you're just like, well, shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can name a lot of people in my life that represent that mantra. But regardless,
Gassia take a swing at it. No, I'm just kidding.
but regardless of that, yeah, it is a good thing to know. So we gotta take one more quick break, and then we'll get back to the rest of the programming. We are 22S Radio, the next wave of K Beach. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back, everyone, to Talk and Spencer program. We're just wrapping up my show with Natalie and Gassia. How are you guys?
Still doing really well.
Good.
Covering
Even
a
better
lot.
than when we
Yeah,
started.
I
this
know.
is-
Covering
this is-
a lot of topics here.
Yeah, it's definitely a deep podcast, deeper than most.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
we're not just talking about, like, chords and shit like I do in my normal podcast. It's something different. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what you guys made? You guys both major in the exact same thing,
Yep.
right? Correct?
Yeah, we're
We
both
do.
healthcare admin majors.
And we
then-
were both pre-nursing.
Yeah.
Before that, we both didn't make it through the nursing program
Yeah.
at Long Beach, and then we both switched over to healthcare.
Yeah, and we both hated it when we started, but now we both really like it for
And we're-
different reasons.
Yeah, and we're both really happy nursing
Yeah.
did not work out right now.
Yeah, it's really crazy how all of our paths align.
I know.
But Gassia and I actually met the first time I met Gassia, I actually didn't like her that much. I thought she was kind of annoying.
Is that how like girls are? Like you just
No,
don't like each
no,
other at first?
no, it's not.
I liked Nat when I first met her.
I didn't like her. I was like, oh, she's kind of dry. I don't think she'll party with me. But then it was crazy because I was walking. You know how like whenever you ask people like, oh, how are you? Everyone says like good and fine. And I always say this to guys, like, I hate it when people do that. I mean, granted, there's certain people that, like, you're not going to tell how you're doing. But I remember Gassia and I intersected. I was going to go eat, obviously. And she was coming from eating, obviously. And then we, like, intersected. And we had met that one time. And we're like, oh, hey, like, what's up? And I don't know if she asked or if I asked, like, how are you doing? And then one of us was like, actually, like, I'm not doing that well. And then we sat on a bench and we talked for an hour, and it went by in like 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Because we were both going through like relationship stuff. Like, you know, that like 17-year-old leaving high school.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, but like just trying to figure out the next move. And then we just sat on that bench and we talked. And then we became best friends ever since. And then like the whole like first generation thing came in and the eating thing. And then we were also pre-nursing majors too.
So we would study a lot together.
Yeah.
And then deal with our boy drama late at night while studying.
Yeah. And then also what distinguished my relationship with Gassia with other people at Cal State Long Beach was the fact that she brought me into her family. One of my best friends from home, Hannah, our relationship is really special to me because she's the first friend I had that really brought me into her family, and that's how I distinguished her from like a really good friend to a best friend. It's because I feel like if you make your friends part of your family, like of course it's easy to say like my friends are my family, but when you literally bring your friends into your family, where I can easily have a hookah session with Gassia's grandma and Gassia doesn't need to be there, like I feel like that really distinguishes a friendship, and I think Gassia brought me into her family within the first semester.
Yeah, and Nat was definitely the first friend that I was, you know, growing up in high school, there was a lot of things that I would omit or not tell to my best friends in high school, like about my personal family stuff, because I was still like figuring it out, and like things were happening during that time period with my family. And Nat was literally my first friend that like knew all of this really deep stuff about my family. And it was weird because like I had just met her, you know, it wasn't like that much time had gone by. But when you're dorming, you're always with someone. So like you're always we were spending so much time together, and she found out so much about me that I couldn't tell friends of 10 years for some reason because I was embarrassed. So I think she definitely brought out like that confidence in me to be able to talk about like certain things that happened with my parents, with my brother, that I definitely would have never ever said like otherwise. So for that, I'm really, really grateful. She's really like the main reason why I can talk about certain stuff that goes down that I really wouldn't have ever said if it wasn't for her.
Well, again, that is true, and it all goes back to that proximity rule, which we mentioned before. That again, people you're surrounded by, not by choice, but just by naturally proximity.
Yeah.
Like high school.
Yeah.
You're not gonna make as good friends as someone that you have the choice to make with as indifferent in college.
And my high school, like, it was very much so a bubble, and I felt like no one ever had like family problems. Like nobody would ever like talk about any of that stuff. Like we were not a diverse group of like our student population was not diverse at all. So that really like limited me from feeling like I can talk about my stuff, even though like my friends were completely like great, generous, nice, like they were great listeners. Like I could have said all of the things that did happen, but like the society I was in high school really never made me feel like I could be myself and say the honest truth about my family. I didn't really meet anybody who was like, my parents are immigrants. Like I didn't meet those types of students in my high school, so I never had the opportunity to click on someone about something like that. And I felt like a lot of the times no one was really voicing like what was really going on, even though I knew everybody had something going on. It's just that
everyone has some shit.
Nobody would ever really talk about it. So, you know, I wish I had the courage to say stuff then, but I'm happy I met a friend like Nat where I can say that stuff now.
And like even going off that, like to this day, I've had best friends that I've had for like 8+ years, but only Gassia knows certain things that my other friends don't.
Yeah.
And it's not like, and it's not even like, it's not that it's a secret or I don't feel comfortable sharing or anything. It's just like this natural thing where it's almost like when I talk to Gassia, it's almost like writing in my journal at night.
That's a good way to put it. And this friendship isn't ending.
No.
Oh, no.
But I feel like
I'm stuck with... I told her I'd get her name tatted on my face.
So, tell us about your plans that's going to happen coming up this weekend.
Well, okay.
We're going to Europe on Saturday.
We're going to be on our Mamma Mia shit.
Yeah, so we're going to Italy and Greece, and then Nat will be going to France with our other roommate who is from France. So, I think the next 2 weeks that we're going to embark on, it's going to be like
the craziest shit that's ever going to happen.
It's going to be really
I think we might have to do another podcast after it.
We're going to be stuck to each other for 2 weeks straight. We're going to
But we always are.
Yeah, we always are, but we always
our
have those
time is like
couple
our
hours of break.
Yeah.
Even then, when she's showering, I'm sitting on the toilet and we're still talking.
Yeah, we're talking. The craziest thing...
like a married couple.
Yeah, we definitely are. The craziest thing is, like, we never run out of anything to talk about. Like, that has never happened. And then if we do, then we just repeat what we said 2 days ago. Because you just do. But... yeah, there's been so many nights where, for both of us, where, like, we went through some really hard stuff. And, like, even though Gassia's family is close, like, she's still here, and, like, my family's obviously far away. And it's just, like, this unspoken thing where if something fucked up is happening, we just sleep in the same bed, and you just automatically feel better. Like, I went through something really tough a little, like, how long? A year ago? Almost 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago. It was really tough, and I just slept in Gassia's bed for like a week. Because it's like sleeping with your mom. You just feel that comfort. It's like breast milk is like oozing from her pores.
That was very descriptive. But okay, yeah, if it works for you, yeah.
But yeah,
it's perfectly fine. Yeah.
But yeah, so we're about to enter this like long distance phase. But I'm honestly thinking about it in the sense where, like, we're not going to be together anymore, but we have way more time together. We're about to spend way more time together in the future years to come because we've only been together for the last 4 years because we have a whole lifetime ahead of us. And at the end of the day, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, at the end of the day, it's really all your family that you have left, and Gassia is my family.
You're saying the cutest things. I like it.
It's all true, though.
It's like a movie.
It really is. Like,
I feel so bad for people who don't have genuine best friends. Like, that's a crazy concept to me.
No, it is. I don't know how you don't have someone you could talk to about anything or just, like, be reliable, be, like, have your back. Like, I don't know how you can go about that. And that was my biggest fear coming into college, was that I wasn't going to have somebody that I was like this with, and then when I found that, I was like I'm not gonna let go. And I don't think I'll ever find a friendship that will replace Nat's, just because there's like certain things we went through that it's just not gonna happen again. Like, there's certain things you go through with someone as a friend that really, no matter what, like, it's just like you're kind of stuck with that person.
Yeah. And then we really fucked around and added Kat to our duo. Yeah. So now we're like this crazy trifecta who goes to Sharky's every weekend. But yeah. Gassia, it's not even about Long Beach or my major or the rec. It's really just Goss. That's what college was for me.
So would you say you're definitely a better person now than you were in the beginning?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I went through a lot of shit, and you can only really learn about yourself and grow when you're challenged with things and you hit lows, because you only have to go up from there. And obviously what you've been doing hasn't been working, so you have to figure out a new thing that works for you. And then also just the people that I've come into contact with. And, like, of course you learn and you figure out stuff about your career and everything like that. But I think that me being away from home, being away from my family, and then building these new relationships, and then, like, just, like, random stuff, like going through a breakup or losing friends, gaining friends, it really shapes you. And I definitely think I'm a better person than I was when I first started. If not better, just more honest and true to myself.
I think in a way, like, I'm not the same person, but I think all of the qualities I had before just got more enhanced for me personally. I think I'm different in the sense that that I carry a certain type of confidence, like, differently, like, and I'm not talking about, like, looks or anything like that, but just, like, my personality, and just, like, I'm a super weird individual. I know, Spencer, you can vouch for me on that through all of our conversations at the front desk. And, like,
weird is good, though.
Yeah, weird is good. Like, I just don't care what people think, like, really at all. Like, all of the weird shit I ask you, like, I just don't care. Like, I feel like weirdness is where you get to know someone.
But that's the best part about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
if me personally, if I just kept everything I knew about myself to myself, what would I be?
No,
boring.
Exactly.
Boring.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think my weirdness got way more enhanced.
But
in
it's
college.
not even like it's not even that it was enhanced. It's always there. You were always fucking weird, but, like, you, like, own it now and make it a part of your energy, and people feed off that like candy.
No, yeah.
And, like, I met Gassia in the beginning, and compared to now, I agree with what she's saying. She has the same heart and core that she had when I first met her, but she's definitely way more confident in herself, her word, her strengths, and her weaknesses than when I first met her.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
You said I was different when I first met you.
Yeah.
How was I different compared to
same thing as Gassia. You're much more confident in your personality, and what you bring to the table, and you always share what's on your mind rather than just letting it pass as a thought, as opposed to before. And maybe that's just because we didn't have as many conversations as before. But I even see that with when you interact with people that you don't know. I see yourself making a presence in the room.
Yeah, you seem more comfortable, I would say.
And I like your new glasses.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I get that a lot. So we got about 4.5 minutes left. We're just by wrapping things up. You guys have anything else you want to say, put out there? Into the world, the ether? Now's your chance.
Gassia? You can go first.
Well, just, like, going off of what we were just talking about, like, how I've changed, which I already stated, but I still think there's a lot of room for more change, as, like, obviously I'm only 22. We're all super young. There's still a big space for more change. I think as, like, individuals, I think that's, like, a really common ground. I know with Nat, like, I feel like we pick up on when we start changing habits about ourselves, and I think it's important to focus on, like, on what still needs work. I know, like, recently, like, Nat and I were just talking about, like, certain skills that I need to work on personally, and yeah, I think it's important to surround yourself with people who can, you know, be honest with you about those things that you still need improvement on.
Yeah. I agree with Gassia. I think that it's really ignorant and sad when people think that they're perfect and have nothing to change, just because, like, what's even the point of being alive and experiencing new things at that point? Because where are you going to put all your learning and growth towards if you're not going to put it towards yourself? I think that the thing that I'm taking away the most at this point in my life is to find comfort in the unknown. And I've been saying that, and everyone keeps asking me about me leaving and what my next step is and if I'm scared and, like, how I feel about leaving all my friends, and people are emotional, and I am too. I just have absolutely shut out those emotions because I know that there will be a transitional phase, but that in the back of my head, I really do find comfort in the unknown, because there's nothing more boring than having your life scripted. So that's how I'm going off that.
I definitely agree. That's why I plan to travel so much in the next year. So
yeah.
And everyone wants
Traveling
to call me,
is fun.
Everyone's calling me crazy. I don't know if I announced in the show. I'm just going to do it right now. So basically, in the first week of September, I'm going to Hong Kong. That's in China.
Woo!
And then...
I was the first one to hear about this, by the way, guys.
Were you?
Yes. It was at the rec. You walked in, you were like, guess who has a fellowship? And I was like, shut up.
You learned about the Spanish one.
Oh,
so,
shit.
yeah, you're
the
first.
fuck?
You were the first person to know about Spain.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew about Hong Kong before any of y'all, so...
Well, I mean, it's you going
Well,
to
yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah. Going to Hong Kong September, and then, as Nat said, I'm going to Spain in December for a month to go work for this law firm.
That's bae, you guys.
Nice. Happy for you.
You should bring all your
guys.
podcast stuff with you.
You
I've
should.
And then put some, like, subtitles on that shit.
I just want to say one thing.
Go for
Thank
it.
you for having us, first of all.
Yeah, thank you, Spence. Spence
This-
for president,
yeah.
2030 or something like that.
This has probably been, like, the longest time that I've had, like, 1 hour to just, like, sit and talk, and I literally didn't think about anything else. So I just want to say thank you for that. Like,
Yeah.
I loved our conversation, and my mind was not wandering anywhere else. This is like yoga for me.
Yeah.
That's what I do. It's more of a more of a therapy session.
Yeah, this
more
felt
than-
like a therapy
Gassia
session.
and I are talkers. Yeah. I'm surprised we didn't talk about music, Spencer.
I talk about music all the time. We don't need to do that so often.
Yeah. Well, sorry if we got too deep on you guys.
No, that's totally fine.
This
I'm
is like
looking
our
forward to our next one.
Yeah, this is like our casual talks. Like Gassia and I doesn't. I mean, we talk about surface level shit sometimes, like when it's like tea time. But other than that, it's this.
All right. So that ends today's show. Thank you guys for all listening, and I hope to see you guys all very soon in the next episode of Talking with Spencer.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
guys.